Okay, welcome everyone. This is the first of our first session of our series called the Sports Talk, where we will be inviting acclaimed sports people onto the channel to come and talk to us about their lives, about their sports, about their achievements, about their struggles, and basically we will try and get to know them a little bit better from beyond what we've heard about them and read about them. So, starting off the series today, it's my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome our first guest today, who is no other than an Olympic participant who's represented India, who has won a bronze medal in the Asian Games, and who currently holds three records that he set up way back in, I think, 2006 it was. So, welcome, Sandeep. We'll talk about that and more.
Hi, good to be here.
Hi, excellent. I heard you speak somewhere at one of the events, and I heard you say that your previous life's profession was that of a swimmer. But now,
Yeah.
in fact, you identify more as a coach than a professional swimmer yourself. So just tell us a little bit about that. What does that look like for you?
Well, in the start, I was actually, it took me about, I think, 4 years to decide whether I want to be a coach or do I want to do something away from my game. And just a second, I think there is,
Yeah, I think there's an echo. Let's try and fill that.
yeah, just a second. If I can reduce the
Sure.
volume here.
Oops. Okay. That should fix it.
Is it okay?
Better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, once like I said, it took me about 4 years to decide whether I want to be a coach or do I want to be something away from the pool. But eventually 4 years of hard thinking and 4 years of you know just calculating all the options, and finally I decided that I think swimming pool is somewhere I would like to spend the rest of my life. And that's what
Sure.
got me into swimming. And because I love swimming so much, and I just couldn't leave it, and I just couldn't do anything else.
Now I can imagine. I mean, you've been a swimmer since a very early time in your childhood,
Yeah.
and I think the pool has played a very vital part in your life growing up as well. Uh, so tell us about the early years and tell us how this lockdown has affected your swimming, because I'm
Uh,
assuming like the rest of us, you also don't have access to a pool right now.
yes, actually, now that I'm a coach, I'm not struggling that much. If I was a swimmer and this lockdown would have happened, I would have probably had so much energy. I would have probably killed someone in frustration. But right now, I think all the swimmers are having this trouble, and I keep getting questions from all my swimmers and all my parents of the swimmers that when are we going to start? It's getting difficult to control the energy of all the swimmers at home and all that thing. But I think it's for a swimmer, it's very difficult in this time. If you take any other game for that matter, and if you take swimming, I think swimming is something that has got lots. I mean, you need a lot of water feel in this game. So I think because of that, I think as a swimmer, we are at maximum loss, we can say, because once we get in the pool again, I think it's going to take us at least a month or so to get back the feel of the water and to start training again.
Yeah, I can imagine, because I mean we've been talking to athletes all along, and what has been incredible for us has been to find that people are actually running half marathons inside their homes,
Yes.
which sounds unbelievable, but they're managing to do that. So I think swimming, because you require the water, and that is something you can't create for yourself. You have that natural hindrance of what you can do. But we recently on Devil Circuit hosted a competition where we asked people to, sign up for 3, 5, and 10-kilometer runs inside their homes, and people did that, and they did challenges in between and so on. But you must. So the kids that you're coaching, what age groups do you coach? Are these state level swimmers? Are they
I
national level swimmers?
I have swimmers from the age of 6 to all the way moving up to the senior most swimmer is about 17 years old, and we have about 6 national medalists training with me currently. I have the pleasure of coaching the fastest Indian girl in swimming.
Wow.
Yeah, Kenisha Gupta is her name. So she's currently training with me. I think that, and I think all age groups starting from 6 onwards to all the way up to 17, and that pretty much covers all the age group and all the senior level as well.
So that is incredible. So what is your advice to them right now? What are you getting them to do? Because obviously I'm assuming that they still have to keep moving, they still have to keep some kind of a workout regime going. So what is your advice to them right now?
I think right now I'm only telling them do not do anything stupid with all the energy that you have. Just keep it inside, just keep it in control, be positive, and just try not to enjoy yourself by doing something that you would regret later on.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only advice I'm giving them right now. Plus, just to stay physically fit is the biggest challenge for any athlete, especially a swimmer, where the sport is really physical, where you have to train for about 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours in the pool every day if you want to be a professional swimmer. So I think all that energy, when it comes, it's not used by a swimmer. I think they've got tremendous amount of energy, and it is very easy for a swimmer to do something stupid and just regret it later on.
Is that something you can talk of by experience? When you talk about swimmers doing something
Definitely
stupid.
by experience. There are a lot of times I've done a lot of stupid things, but I wish I wouldn't have done, and I wish there was someone to guide me a little more better and keep all my energy inside.
Yeah, I no, one of the things that I saw was this talk that you gave a while ago, where you spoke a lot about your mother and the influence that she had on you. And I'm imagining that she went a long way in ensuring you didn't do anything stupid beyond a certain point as well. Because I heard you talk about her struggles and how she supported you and how she kept you on swimming. So tell us about those years. What was the discipline like, and do you see the same discipline in the youngsters of today?
Uh, well, I was very lucky to have a strict mother because when I started swimming, my actually my dad passed away. That was the reason my mother put me into swimming, so that I'm not spending my time or energy somewhere else and doing something constructive with it. So I think that's where it all started, and I was really lucky to have a very strict mother, and I was scared of her when I was growing up. So I think that was one of the blessings in disguise that I had. I think it was. I wouldn't have managed even 50% of what I have achieved if it was not for her. She was the one taking care of, when I was young, I was never wanted to go to the swimming pool and work hard. I would always look for an excuse where, I would try and bunk the swimming classes, but I think she forcing me, and luckily my sister was also in the same field. So I think that's what helped me to keep going, and because she had to, if even if I didn't feel like going to the swimming pool, my sister did. So if my mother was going to the swimming pool with my sister, I had no way that I would get out of it.
And were you competitive as siblings? Because she made it to the nationals 2 years before you did, right? So was that something that pushed you forward, or how far did that go to kind of egg you on?
Yes, she did go to nationals and win a national medal 2 or 3 years before I actually did. I think yes, I was very competitive, but I think my competitiveness came in a way later on, and I think that since that time, I think my sister had already quit and she had already started pursuing her the career that she was going into, and I think. I learned a lot from her because whenever she was going for a competition or whenever she was going training workout, she would be very competitive when it comes to pushing herself, pushing the competition in training and all that. I think whatever I've learned about pushing in training is because of her.
I can imagine. I mean, growing up, I was very, very competitive, and thankfully, I was a little better than my sister. So she must have faced, she must have faced this. But and she's gonna kill me when she watches this interview. But that's what siblings are like, I suppose. So how do you stay fit now? I mean, obviously you can't swim, so you've advised your students to kind of keep their energy in control and not do anything stupid. But what are you doing for yourself? Because you look like a fit guy as well. So apart from swimming, what else? What else do you do to work out?
Apart from swimming, well, right now there is so much time for everyone to do so many things. So I think I out of 24 hours in a day, I just take out 1 hour in the day, and I focus on doing just body weight exercises at home. I think that's the best way to keep fit, and that's the same thing I'm advising my swimmers. I'm asking them to do whatever body weight they can. I can, at least for 1 hour in the whole day, you can find some time now that you're not swimming. So it's that's the only thing I'm advising. I'm strictly telling them, do not do anything that you would regret later on, which would include lifting up heavy weights, doing something in excess. So just keep everything in moderation, and I think once the swimming pool opens, because we have to start from scratch anyway, so I don't think doing anything on land right now will make that much of a difference to the swimmers.
I don't know what that was, but it seems to have worked. Fingers crossed we will not have that disturbance. So, just picking up from what you said, you said several times that when you go back to the pool, you're going to have to start from scratch. Is it that much of a difference that a month of or a month and a half of no workout, no practice makes to you, that you have to kind of go almost back to the basics and start all over again?
Back, and it might take weeks, it might take days, it might take months to get it back. But the only problem with today's generation is they are very impatient, and when it comes to achieving something, they want to think today, and they don't want to wait for tomorrow. So I think that's the biggest challenge for the coaches in this country, and the biggest challenge of the parents in this country are facing. So I think once the pool start, I think I'm already preparing myself to answer all the questions that everybody will be asking. Sir, I'm not able to do that. My body weight has gone up. My this is feeling bad. My that is feeling bad. So I think I'm preparing myself mentally to answer all the questions without the kids.
Sandeep, could you unmute yourself on Facebook? Because I can hear you through the Insta channel as well, but I think our viewers can't. Okay.
I think I cannot mute myself on Insta. That's why this disturbance is happening.
Can you just reduce the volume to zero?
I have, but it's not going to zero. Anyways, I'll just try to keep it a little bit away from the.
That's what I'm trying to do and see if that helps. Okay, that seems to have fixed that.
Yep.
So yeah, so when you're working out with national level swimmers like you are, how many hours do you spend in the pool? What does your day look like when it comes to the fitness regime?
If you're a professional swimmer, you'll have to spend roughly about 5 hours in the pool, that's just in the pool, and then we have about 1.5 hours of gym either every day or every alternate day. That depends on what level of fitness that you're working on. And I think when I was swimming, out of 12 hours of the day, I think I would spend about 6.5 hours of just training.
Wow.
Yeah.
And with that, you became a national champion in 2008 in the 16 and under category.
Yes, in
So at that
2008.
stage,
No, my first national medal was in 2006 in the
2006.
senior in the senior category. I have a junior national level medal also before that, but I think 2006 was my first national medal as a senior swimmer. And since then, till I think 2018 was my last senior national that I participated in. So from 2006 to 2018, I was unbeaten in all the races that I swam.
Wow, that is incredible. And you have a record in 50 meters, 100 meters breaststroke, and 200 meters breaststroke that still stands unbeaten. And
Yep.
you set that record what 14 years ago, 15 years ago. How does
Yes.
that feel? And why do you think you have those unbeaten yet?
Uh, I would say because I've worked hard at the right time. I think I did not start working out too early in my career, and I think that was kind of a blessing for me. Because these days everybody wants to work out when they are about 10, 11. Everybody wants a national record. Everybody wants to win a medal at the nationals, even though it's for the junior level. I have never had, you'll not believe, I don't have a single record in the age groups. So till I was 18, I did not hold a single record. And once I turned 18, now I have all the three records in breaststroke, that is 50, 100, and 200. I think because I started working hard at the right time and I peaked at the right time and I had the guidance of the correct people at the right time in my career, I think that made a big difference.
Right. And so with all of these awards, the national level, the Asian Games, the Arjuna Award, which is the biggest award we give to our sports people in India. I mean, these are incredible, incredible achievements. When you look back through all these years, what is the highlight? What stands out for you the most?
Uh, well, I think representing the Olympics, I mean, representing a country at the Olympics is the ultimate goal for any athlete, not just a swimmer, any athlete. And I think once I qualified for Beijing Olympics in 2008, I was kind of, it just felt normal for me. And, I didn't realize that it was such a big deal till I actually went to China and I went to the arena where we were supposed to race. And every
Right.
time, even now, if I'm talking about it, I'm getting goosebumps. So you can imagine how electrifying and how crazy the experience must have been when I was swimming for the country and representing the country. And I was one in only 53 athletes from the whole country, from 1.3 billion people were there in 2008 to represent the country, and I was one of them. So it was the proudest moment of my life. I think that just all the struggle that I have had, all the hard work that I had at that time was all felt worth sacrificing everything for.
No, I can totally believe that. And yes, it must have been an amazing, amazing feeling. So, so that brings me to my next question, which is one of the things that, we feel as Indians is that when it comes to sport, we don't give our athletes enough support. There is, I mean, over the last few years, things have obviously picked up and changed for the better. But historically, we have had no access to good arenas, no infrastructure. We all have read articles and exposés about the kind of nutrition our athletes have access to, and so on and so forth. So, when for you the high has been representing India at the Olympics, what has been the low? What have been the frustrating moments of working out as a sports person in India?
First, coming to the first part of the question, I think the infrastructure on this in this country is changing drastically. We have about Olympic-sized pool now in almost every metropolitan city, and not just one. I think Delhi has got about 7 or 8 of them. Bangalore has got 11 of them. Every city in this country is pretty much got the infrastructure that we need for the as Olympic standard. While I was swimming and I was growing up, I think we had a little bit of restrictions when it came to accessing the swimming pool or accessing the Olympic-sized swimming pool that we should be training in. And obviously, because I came from a family which was kind of, I would say, a little lower than the middle class family, it was difficult for me to spend so much of money on dietitian, and dietary supplements and all the fancy stuff that everybody used to take. But I think now with the sponsorships and everything, the CSR all the private sector coming into all the Olympic sports, I think it's made it a lot easier, and I think the things are changing for good. Plus, Khelo India has come in, so
Yeah.
there has been initiative from the government itself to bring up all the Olympic sports. So I think that is the most positive thing that could have ever happened to the Olympic sports.
No, that can. Oh gosh, our beep is back. Our beep is back from somewhere. So, from amongst your students, and this is a question, one of our viewers is asking. From amongst the students, you obviously have a lot of support and a lot of respect from them. Looking at your Instagram account, you had this 9-year-old girl writing to you and saying you're the best thing that happened to her and you're an amazing coach. But when you look at these kids, who are the one or two people that you feel have a chance of representing India at the Olympics and perhaps winning us a medal in the swimming categories?
Well, for right now I don't really have a favorite, but I think people who are coming in every single day, apart from all the extra commitments that they have in life, I think if they're managing with so much of pressure of studies and everything else, if they're managing to come in every day and train hard every day, I think everybody deserves to be at the Olympics one day. Because the
Right.
education system in India does not support any kind of sport. So I think everybody who's despite of getting good grades is coming to the swimming pool and spending about 4 hours in the pool. I think everybody, they all deserve to be at the top level.
That's actually such a valid point, because as a parent, I have 2 kids, and one of them is sports crazy. And for us, the constant sort of struggle is focus on studies versus focus on sport versus what is the right balance. And the thing with India is, like you said, 53 people out of 1.3 billion actually representing India. So the odds of you being very good at your sport also, given the mass base of athletes in any sport in India, is very, very minuscule. So what advice would you give to, well, first parents and then kids who want to kind of take up a professional sports stream in the Indian context? What would your advice to them be?
I think the government is helping the cause right now, because once they've started with this Halo India tournaments all around the country, I think they've started giving money to people who are winning at the national level, which which I think by far helps the middle class families. Where if you have, like you just said, if you have two kids, and if you want to put both into different sport, first of all, it will be
Hmm.
difficult for you to manage to go with both of them together. Just in case if you want to put them into one single sport, I think to afford the fees and you know all the equipments for say for swimming, it becomes very difficult for a middle class family to afford for two people, you know
Sure.
the luxury of two people. So I think government coming in and helping, even if it is a small amount, I think it is appreciating the people who are trying to be into the game, to help them in whatever way they can. I think that is one of the biggest I would say the biggest blessing for the Indian sport which is happening right now. And I think things are going to change a little bit in future when people see more career opportunities in their own game. So like
Hmm.
cricket has built up, and I think cricketers, they don't need to do any other job because they're getting paid so well to just play for the country. And I think the situation is changing with the tennis people, with it's changing with kabaddi, with all the leagues and everything happening. I think with this thing happening, the employment once the employment opportunities are created in the sport, where people think they can make a living out of their own game, I think that would be a game changer.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, because you're right. That is something that's changing. Till about maybe 7, 8 years ago, it was just the cricketers who made any money in any sport in
Yeah,
India, and nobody else had a chance. But yeah, that is changing rapidly.
yeah.
Um, and that brings me to my sort of next segment, because another facet of you that we saw, apart from that of a sports person, is a dancer on Naj Baliye.
Yep.
And we saw you shake a leg, and we saw you do incredibly, incredibly well as a participant there. So if you weren't a swimmer, if that wasn't something that you would professionally be doing, Would we see you on the small screen, maybe with your wife?
Very difficult to answer this because my whole life has been inside the swimming pool. I've literally spent 22 years of my life being a swimmer. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. But when I was growing up in school, I used to be part of every single sport, team sport that there was. I used to play basketball. I used to play cricket. I used to play volleyball, badminton. So if not a swimmer, I would definitely be into any other sport. Screen TV, I don't really know because I'm kind of camera shy, so I don't know if
Really?
I would do that. I did Nach Baliye because I had to go there with my wife, and I had to be her support and be her partner in that. And she wanted it. She wanted this show so much, and she wanted to go and perform on the stage so badly that I just couldn't say no. So so that's how it happened. Otherwise, if given a chance, I don't think I'll be into TV.
Well, that's a very sweet answer, and all the men should better be listening. And if Sandeep, who's camera shy, can go and shake a leg in front of the television, there's a lot more that all of you can be doing. And I'm talking specifically to my husband right now. But okay, so we so we have a rapid fire round for you. We have 10 questions for you. And you're not allowed to think. You're allowed to just hear the question and answer with whatever is the first thing that comes to mind, right? Okay. So there's no right or wrong answer. And the good thing is there's no hamper, so there's no competition. This is for fun. Okay, so here we go. So your first question is, an Indian swimmer you think would become a big shot?
Shriyari Nataraj.
Okay. Contenders in the international circuit that inspire you?
Pardon? Can you repeat the question?
Contenders in the international swimming circuit who inspire you?
I have a friend from Kazakhstan, Vladislav Polyakov. I think he's inspired me a lot over the years while I was swimming.
Okay. One thing that keeps you motivated every single day?
Now that I don't have to get in the pool when I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning is highly motivating for me.
Yes, I can see that. Okay. 3 words that describe the person you are today.
3 words to describe myself. I think I'm a hard worker, hardworking. You just mentioned that I'm sweet, and I think I think just 2. I don't have the third
just
one.
Just
2? Yeah.
So I'll put modest then in that category. If you can only think of 2 adjectives.
Yeah, I cannot say modest. I had to get it out of you. So.
Well played. Okay. One proverb that describes how you live your life. Is there a motto by which you live your life?
I keep learning at every stage. When I was swimming, I was learning. Now when I'm teaching, I'm learning, and I'm learning from kids who are about 6 years old, and I'm learning from kids who are 17 years old. So I never stop learning. So I think learning is my way of living.
Excellent. That's a good one. If not a swimmer, what career path? And this I've asked you, but you have to give me an answer now. What would you be doing if not swimming?
I would have probably be an engineer if not anything in sports. Because
really?
Yes, I was a science student and I wanted to be an engineer, but I think something happened in swimming and I just continued.
Well, lucky for us it did. Excellent. One word for your experience in Nach Baliye. How would you describe the experience?
It was, I wouldn't say amazing because it kind of ended on a very bad note. So I think I would want to forget what happened in Nach Baliye.
Okay. Who do you have a role model? If yes, who?
Yes, my coach is my role model, and just not because he's my coach, but he's been more than a father figure for me. When I was swimming in Bangalore, I left my family and went to Bangalore, and he never made me feel like I'm far away from home. He always welcomed me. So I think he's one of my favorite human beings.
And she lives in Bangalore still?
Nihar Amin, he is my coach. So
he's a coach. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, and last but not the least, something you always wanted to try but you were afraid of.
Nach Baliye. I would always wanted to be on a dance reality show, but I actually could not imagine myself that, once I was there, I was just so happy to be there.
That's amazing. And was that Nudge Bali, or was that because you got to be with your wife for that
Yeah,
amount of
because I got to
time?
be with my wife, and I finally took a step which she would want me to do. She always said that she want to do something together. I think Nach Baliye was one of that opportunities that I got, and I just couldn't refuse.
And are you still getting brownie points for that one, or is that now forgotten and done?
I don't brag about it that much. Because as we know that Pooja got injured just before our second performance, and she had a fracture in her hand,
Yeah.
and so it didn't end on a good note. So that's why I just don't bring it up at any time.
Fair point. Okay, so now we have a dare for you. So for the next 1 minute, we want to know something. Either we want you to sing a song for us that you really like, or maybe show us a dance move that you picked up on Nudge Baliye.
Okay. I did not. There are a lot of dance moves that I have picked up from Nach Baliye. In fact, two performances I remember by heart, all the whole 3 minute fit. But as a
Oh, wow.
swimmer, my favorite move, yes, I'm going to show you. I'll just set up the camera here so that you can see. Just a second. Okay. So this is swimmer's favorite move. Okay. And we used to do this a lot when we were swimming. So I think all my swimmer friends are going very crazy, and as you can see in the comments.
Excellent. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Now we'll open up to questions from the audience, and let's see what they have for you. So our audience is on Insta, our audience is on Facebook. Feel free. Sandeep is all yours for the next 2 to 3 minutes. Anything you want to ask him, you have the floor. I think we're just getting adulation on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so the question we have is, why do you have a beard? Seriously, that's a question, Sandeep. Why do you have a beard?
I actually started growing it before the lockdown, and I just don't feel like shaving it off though.
Okay. How much hard work went into into learning that dance step? Well, no hard work went in. He knew that dance step already, right?
No, actually there was a lot of hard work, because it looks very easy, and I think that's one of my qualities. I make everything look very easy. Try that dance move and see. It's really difficult. It took me about, I think, 1 full day of coordination and slow motion dancing to learn that step.
Oh, I believe you. I can't do it. My kids have been trying to teach me that, but to no end. So yes, I totally believe how hard that is. Yeah. What about the upcoming Olympics? What's the conversation like within the team, do you think, with this lockdown, with the lack of practice that everybody is getting? What is our Olympic
the Olympics have been postponed to 2021 now, and so are the qualifying periods. So I think everybody who thinks that they are losing about a month of training, or who are losing about 2 months of training, I think that's wrong, because we're gonna get 1 extra year to qualify for that. People who have already qualified, they actually, it's hardest for them. They have to maintain their shape for the whole 1 extra year, I think. But I don't think anybody is losing anything out of this. Everybody is getting that 1 extra year to prepare themselves and be at the Olympics.
Sure, and I guess because of the global lockdown, everybody is really at par, because if we're not getting the practice, then I'm assuming the others aren't either. So when will India get its first Olympic medal in swimming? That's a question somebody wants to know. What is your guess?
I can't pinpoint, but I think soon, because there are a lot of young swimmers who are trying to make a mark on world swimming right now, and so far a lot of people have succeeded also. But I think my rough guess should be around at 2024 we should have at least one swimmer in the top eight.
Right. And that'll be a good start. The next one
Yeah.
we have is, which medal holds a higher importance, Asian Games or Commonwealth Games?
Uh,
Which is
I don't
harder
have a
than the,
I don't have a Commonwealth game medal, but for me, winning a Commonwealth Games medal would be a lot higher than the Asian Games medal, because the countries that we compete against, have more world record holders in Commonwealth Games than the Asian Games. So we have South Africa, we have Australia, we have England. All of them have at one point got world record holders in every single event. So I think for India to win a medal at the Commonwealth Games is a little difficult in swimming than Asian Games.
got it. And do you think age plays a role in, well, I guess it does in any sport, but in swimming, at what age do you feel somebody either has the potential or doesn't?
Uh,
Is there a
age,
barometer like that?
yes, age is a factor definitely in all the sports, but I think swimming is one of the games where we have had a 14-year-old win an Olympic medal, and we have recently seen in I think 2008 we have 2008 or 2012 we have seen a 41-year-old lady winning a medal at the Olympics, just missing the gold
Wow.
by hundredth of a second. Yeah, so yes, age is a factor, but if you do everything correctly and if you are under the right guidance, I don't think it matters that much.
So I'm assuming that's more an exception than a rule. But on an average, at what point do you stop competing in international level swimming competitions? When do you reach that point?
I think, according to my personal experience, I think 28 or 29 is the right time to quit from swimming, because it
Right.
becomes really really difficult for your body to take that much toll at 30 when you're spending about 6 hours in the pool. So I think once you turn 30, uh, I think it's about time to end your swimming career. But internationally, if you again if you have the correct guidance, and if you have correct tools, and if you have correct people surrounding you, I think I don't think age is a factor in that matter.
Great. Well, that is it for now. Okay, somebody has a question on Insta. Let's hear it. Advait, you said you have a question. Let's hear the question.
Okay, there are these two monkeys, Advait Page and Neil Roy. They are
Are they yours?
yeah, they're two swimmers who are highly talented and currently training in the States. I think they're back because of the lockdown, but they're in the States studying. These two
Right.
monkeys will always have questions. So I'll just take one question. When was
Sure.
the moment you decided you wanted to pursue swimming? Again, when I started swimming, I was really really young, and my mother did not give me any option. So I think it was her decision to for me to pursue swimming. But professionally, I think once I passed my 12th standard and I got a little bit of national exposure, I think I got really excited, and I think that's the time I decided I want to work a little harder and be at the Olympics or be at the international stage holding the flag of the country. I think that was my moment. I think in 2006 was the first time I won a medal for the country. I think that was the proudest moment. So that's the time I started taking everything seriously.
Yeah, that can be a life changer, winning a medal for your country. I bet that is way up there when it comes
Yep.
to, feeling a high.
Yep.
That moment must have been undescribable.
Yes.
And finally, the last question, hobby you developed during lockdown. Is there something new? Are you playing Ludo and snakes and
Uh,
ladders like the rest of
no,
us?
I don't know why, but I'm really bad with words. But I started playing Scrabble to improve that. I just
Excellent.
downloaded Scrabble a couple of days ago, and I've already won like 4 or 5 games out of that. And there are some 20 games going already in that. But other than that, I think I'm focusing on watching what I eat and spending at least 1 hour of physical activity every day to keep myself fit.
Perfect. Well, we wish you all the best. You've been an amazing guest. Thank you so much. We couldn't have picked somebody better to start our series with. So guys, a big shout out to Sandeep here. Thank you. And a big shout out to Devil's Circuit. We will be back tomorrow at 6 o'clock with Sonia, who will take us through our yoga moves. And let's end the session by thanking health and safety workers. Today is the World Day for Health and Safety Workers. And what better day than today to say a big thank you to everybody out there who's not sitting in here like us, but actually working in hospitals, working in courier services, working in making things happen that still move the country around. So a big thank you to all of them, and a big thank you to you, Sandeep. All the best. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.